And thank God it's Friday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you from our studios in Kukumlimi on your digital terrestrial TV. We are free to air on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Thanks for choosing us. We are Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible journalism. This afternoon, Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin calls on Parliament to show leadership as he warns government may not be able to pay salaries in the next 3 months.
This is not to discourage the committee from doing their work. If something is not done within the next 3 months, government may not even be able to pay salaries.
Also, scammers appear to have hatched new tricks and escalated their activities. Learn here today what to do to avoid being scammed. We'll be joined by the Ghana Police Service on this, plus your experiences as well. Also, revelations from the Population and Housing Census indicates that divorce rate is high in Ghana. Why so? We have a conversation on that coming up shortly. My name is Blessed Tugana. The Pulse is always brought to you by Global Communities Dignilu, affordable safe sanitation. Remember that we are streaming this afternoon on all of our social media platforms and also on YouTube. Twitter us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Blessed Tugana. Always a pleasure being here with you on The Pulse. And this afternoon, we are learning that government may not be able to pay salaries in the next 3 months. That's according to the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, who's urging lawmakers to, quote, show leadership in order to avert an imminent crisis in the public sector. It is actually unclear if the statement of the Speaker is a signal to the minority to soften their opposition to the controversial electronic transactions levy. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta disclosed last week that government's coffers is dry, hence the need for new revenue measures, including the controversial subject of the e-levy. In what appears to be his concerns for workers in the public sector, the Speaker of Parliament says urgent steps ought to be taken to contain the situation.
Honourable members, the information at my disposal, this is not to discourage the committee from doing their work. If something is not done within the next 3 months, government may not even be able to pay salaries. So we have to take leadership. We have to do a lot of things. With this, the House is accordingly adjourned till Friday.
Well, so that's the confirmation from the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, there, but there's a need for us to have a conversation on this. What's the reaction of the labor unions to all that's happening and the signal we're getting? Fortunately, John Sampa, who's the Deputy General Secretary of the Public Services Workers Union, is joining us for a reaction on this. We also do have via Zoom joining us Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, Clocksack Isaac Bampo, joining us. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time here on The Pulse. And if I may, of course, start off with you, Sami, on this. What's the reaction of the Public Sector Workers Union on the latest indication we're getting? It appears that your salaries may not be paid in the next 3 months. I'm asking, if you can hear me, I'm asking about your reaction to this latest indication we're getting that in the next 3 months, if care is not taking, your salaries may not be paid.
Come again the question. I'm not hearing it clear now. Come again.
So I'm asking about your reaction to what we are hearing from the Speaker of Parliament, that if care is not taking, your salaries may not be paid in the public sector.
Well, the Speaker will do as well if we are all privy to the information that he's got access to. And that's why he's making this statement. Then maybe we can all take informed decisions. But as of now, we cannot speak to you because you are not privy to the information that the Speaker has got access to.
But we know that you've always raised some concerns about your conditions of service. If granted that what the Speaker is anything to go by, that would mean that perhaps your concerns may not be addressed anytime soon.
Well,
so how is that coming to you?
That conclusion, because like I said, we are not privy to. He should share whatever information is available to him, and then we can then know or the next step we should take. But as of now, we don't know where he's getting information from.
But this is the Speaker of Parliament. Obviously, supervises quite a lot.
But I don't think this is the finance minister. If you say that is the finance minister who is speaking, yes. But Speaker of Parliament, I think let's know the source of your information.
So what you mean to say is that you take this only from the Speaker of Parliament and not the Speaker? Is that the suggestion?
If the Minister for Employment is making such a statement here, then I know there's a serious debate. But the Speaker, I'm not privy to the information that he's got. So if he could share that information with us, yeah, then we can then make a statement. But as of now, we cannot make a statement because we don't know what information or where he's taking this information from.
And what we do know is that even before his statement, government is intending to engage organized labor somewhere next week. The president himself is scheduled to be part of that consultation. There are some who are suggesting that perhaps all of these will play out when you engage stakeholders
we are
next Monday.
To engage government at a conference. So when it comes up, then we'll speak to it. As of now, nobody has indicated anything to us.
What has been, and just out of curiosity, what has been the level of engagement between yourself and the Finance Ministry over the recent concerns that you've raised about your conditions?
Oh, well, I think we've been, the issue was handled by the senior advisor to the president, and I think so far we are happy. Hello, sir. I said the issue was handled by the special advisor to the president, that's Honorable Usafo Bam. And I think so far we are happy with negotiations.
So if it does happen that you're not paid in the next 3 months, what are we likely to see from your outfit?
Well, like I'm saying, we don't know where he's taking the source of this information.
And I can imagine
there are
that.
Channels,
right.
There are channels in place to communicate to us if that is the situation. But so far, nobody has communicated to us. So we cannot speak to it.
Right. I would have to leave it here with you. Thank you, Isaac Bampoado, for joining us. You're doubting the source of the speaker and that he should come out clear. But let's also get from the public, get some reactions from the Public Sector Workers Union. And also, we do know that a group is intending to embark on a demonstration if indeed government tempers with the salaries of public sector workers. Azubila Emmanuel Abdul Salam is also joining us. But first, let's hear from the Public Sector Workers Union. What's really your reaction, Sami, to all of these that we're hearing? Are you also doubtful, just as ClockSAG is indicating to us?
Hello, good afternoon, and greetings to all your listeners this afternoon.
I'm asking if you also doubt the, just as ClockSAG is indicating to us, do you also doubt the source of what the speaker is telling us?
Yes, to us, we are not surprised because we know for some time now, government consistently threaten us with this salary increment. If you could remember, during the salary negotiation at the tripartite committee, one of the reason that they gave was that they are going to lay workers off if the union leaders, including Dr. Bampo Ado we just spoke to, if they fail to accept the 4% and 7% salary increment, they were going to lay off workers. So they used that one to threaten us. Immediately after that one, August last year, we were threatened that January this year, if you are working, you don't have Ghana card, they were not going to pay us. We demonstrated, and with the help of you, the media, they reversed that decision. When they sent the e-levy to Parliament, the first thing that we heard was if they failed to approve the e-levy, workers were not going to be paid in 2022. And now, we are hearing from the speaker saying that he has been briefed that workers will not be paid the next 3 months if they fail to pass this e-levy and what of you. We are saying this is very disrespectful to workers in this country. Why? Because we know that government and the Article 71 office holders, they are not taking huge sums of money. Their fuel allowances alone is our annual salary. Why can't they threaten themselves? They should threaten the MP that they wouldn't fuel their cars to Parliament if they fail to pass the e-levy. They should cut down the 488 million US dollars allocated to the presidency alone as budgetary allocation to the president. If they cut some of these things and they reduce the Article 71 office holders' salary from the 79% that they increased last year, I think we wouldn't be talking about workers' salary not being paid the next 3 months and what of you.
Right. And just to get some clarity on this, you are giving indications that the writings were on the wall, and that the indication was giving some days back or months back that indeed there was going to be some rationalization in the public sector. What are the details of that engagement? What did you hear from government, really?
You know, we have not heard anything officially, but it is not new to us. Because as I indicated, we have received several threats against our salaries this year. And this is what government is implementing. And we believe that our union leaders, including Dr. Bampo Adu, you just spoke to, they have failed workers in this country, because going to tripartite committee to accept the inhumane salary increment of 4% and 7%, that one alone was an insult. Using COVID-19 as basis. We know we are paying COVID-19 levy. There are a lot of money that we have received from World Bank in connection with this COVID-19, and yet we keep on using this COVID-19 to be threatening workers' salary. We believe that it is a deliberate attempt to frustrate government workers in this country. Numerous strike action here and there, and they are still talking about government not being able to pay us the next 3 months if they fail to approve the e-levy. We believe, as workers, a lot of money has been lost in this country. If you remember the 52 billion Ghana cedi that was transferred from Ghana Commercial Bank to an unknown account, the $12 million fertilizer money that they said is missing from the Agri Ministry. Tonight alone, they said liquidation of trade investment, which was almost equivalent to 11.8 million US dollars. And if we look at aside that, almost 141 million US dollars was also not accounted for per the Auditor General report. All these things are serious scandals that if government block all these loopholes, I believe we will have enough money beyond this e-levy, and there wouldn't be any threat against government workers when it comes to our annual salary. We are not begging government for salary. It is something that we have worked. We have taken transport to work every day, look at the fuel increments and what of you, and yet we cope up to do all these things, and we still go ahead to threaten us of our salary. I think that is very unfortunate.
It appears that your coalition is already taking up this matter very seriously. You're threatening to go on the streets if indeed salaries are tampered with. Tell us about that.
Exactly. As we speak right now, we are putting things together, and we want to contact Speaker of Parliament to know the source of his information and know how valid that information is. And we are not going to sit down until that 3 months comes for us to go to our bank account and miss empty salary. We will take action prior to that time. So we are not going to sit down at all, as our union leaders are saying that they don't believe the source of the information, and therefore they will take action. They will wait until the next 3 months. We go to our banks and there's no money before they will start saying that they are fighting for workers. We know our union leaders have failed us, and we will not sit down this time and put our destiny into the hands of our union leaders. And we are going to take this action, and very soon you will hear our demonstration schedules and what of you to fight against some of these inhumane treatments against workers in this country.
Emmanuel Azubila, we're grateful that you've been able to join us. In fact, we'll keep our eyes on this, try and get you the very latest from Parliament, indeed, as to why the Speaker is making such a declaration. But we need to talk about sanitation now. I'm grateful, Emmanuel Azubila, who's joining us with the coalition against TUC. Now to sanitation. Open defecation in the Greater Accra region has actually reduced from 7.8% in 2020 to 6.2% in 2021. That's according to the 2021 population and housing census. Many have attributed this to the Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Gamma Water and Sanitation Project, which is among others provided households toilet facilities at affordable cost to persons living in the region. Sanitation experts believe that if this is replicated in other parts of the country, it will help reduce the rate of open defecation here too. The Greater Accra Metropolitan Area Sanitation and Water Project under the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources exceeded its original target of constructing 19,000 household toilets facilities in the Greater Accra region. Fortunately, we've been joined now by the Gamma Water and Sanitation Project Coordinator, Engineer George Asiedu. Thanks so much for your time here on The Pulse. This is certainly good news for groups like yours engaged in the eradication of open defecation in the country. How were you able to achieve this target in the region?
Cherished listeners, indeed, it's a good news to know that your effort is yielding results. The objective of the project was to increase access, and for you to get results of this nature and to know that a lot more people have access to toilets in the Greater Accra metropolitan area and resulting in significant reduction in open defecation is an achievement that we are all proud of. And the effort was ensuring that access to these facilities become very affordable to the low-income bracket. That coupled with some efforts at sensitizing the public on the need for improved hygiene and to ensure that you reach out to those who need to have access to it. So the project put on pragmatic measures, and with the effort of all, particularly with the support of the Honorable Minister and the Ministry of Sanitation, we were able to reach out to all that are required. And we are happy that at the end of the day, instead of 19,100, we're able to reach out to, as I'm talking to you, we have reached out about 37,000 households with access to.
That's obviously a feather in your cap, but how about concerns and calls for the project to actually be replicated in other parts of the country? Because the belief is that it's beginning to gain ground and yield positive results as well.
Yeah, that is long overdue. This has also been recognized by government and with the support of the World Bank. And so they supported us in Kumasi, and we are using the Kumasi as a platform to develop a project that will extend to the entire country. So yes, efforts are on the way to reach out to the entire country. We need to replicate a resource or approach which is working. And a lot more people will still have to be supported to have access to toilets and facilities.
But what's interesting is that it appears that the problem is not over. At least we know that there's still some level of work to be done. What's the strategy going forward?
The strategy, our effort is to achieve SDG Goal 6 and to ensure that by the year 2030, almost every household should have access to improved toilet facility. And once the pilot in Greater Accra and Kumasi is yielding results, replicating in the other part of the country will accelerate our effort towards achieving SDG goal. What we know now is that the effort is yielding results, and then which is achievable SDG goal 6. So we think that replicating the project across the country will let us get there.
And I guess this campaign feeds into the broader idea of ensuring or making Accra one of the cleanest city in Africa, if we could put it that way. That's the president's vision. How are you working towards achieving that?
Obviously, that is the target to ensure. And I want to talk of making the city clean. The main effort is to ensure that you improve sanitation, and this is looking waste. And so we are making sure that the 6.2 population that still do not have access to toilet and are practicing open defecation, this should stop and should be a thing of the past. And if it must stop, it means you must support everyone to be able to have access to this facility, which we are already doing. The project is ongoing. We are hoping that within the next 2-3 years, all those 6.2% who do not have access will have been served. And then
okay, so let's talk about the Savannah region, for instance. This is an area which has the highest defecation rate of 68.5%. The Upper East has 68.4%, and that's quite a significant number as well. What measures are you putting in place to ensure that you save these regions as well?
Yes, these areas are part of the country, and I'm sure that the Ministry of Sanitation, where I also work, is taking measures to look at the issues and put in place measures to address that. But I'm very hopeful that the ministry will consider replicating the Gamma approach to address most of these challenges in those parts of the country. They are also part of the country, and so when we are replicating the project, they also stand a very good chance of benefiting from it. We need to look at it, and I'm sure the minister will look at it in details, and we'll be able to address that.
Right, and we're also told that 5 out of Ghana's 16 regions, 5 out of that number, they've recorded more than 50% open defecation rate. So do you support calls that, of course, now that the project will be replicated, we need to increase the pace at which that replication has to be done?
Obviously, I support, and the minister also shared that idea. And this report was shared just yesterday, and a lot of efforts are already underway to look at policy reviews to ensure that some measures will be taken to support all those regions that are recording over 50% open defecation.
Right.
Something must be done, and I'm sure the government
and
the ministry.
Right, and you were talking about Kumasi earlier, telling us about how you are intending to start from there. What's the target for Kumasi, and how will you go about achieving that target?
The project is already ongoing in Kumasi. We could refer to it as the Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Area Sanitation and Water Project, and it's serving the 8 metropolitan and municipal assemblies of the Ashanti region. Our target is to support them with access to about 30,000 household toilets in the Ashanti region, and then we also support them with about 120 schools and institutions with access to improved sanitation facilities. This, we think, that will go a long way to also reduce the open defecation and also improve the hygiene conditions in the Greater Kumasi Metropolitan Area. So that project is already underway. It was launched in November 2020. As I'm talking to you, over 1,000 households have been served already with access to toilet facility, and they are still ongoing. So I'm hoping that the 30,000 will be reached by the year 2024, and by then it will also significantly reduce the open defecation rate, as the statistics is also showing in the Ashanti region.
Impressive target there. George Asiedu, I'm grateful that you've been able to spend some time with us here on the Pulse. Still to come as well, scammers appear to have hatched new tricks and escalated their activities. Learn here today what to do to avoid being scammed. We'll be joined by the Ghana Police Service on this matter. Stay with us on the Pulse. Security as well, because crime appears to be taking a new form these days. In fact, it's becoming more sophisticated and becoming more prevalent on the internet. Already, the Ghana Police Service says it is taking proactive measures to deal with a growing trend of fraud across the country. Fortunately, Adib is not gone. He's here with us. The Ghana Police Service would also join us online to talk about this. We have Superintendent Alexander Obin, who's also acting Public Affairs Director of the Ghana Police Service, joining us in this conversation. Thank you, sir, for your time. So how is this trend looking like from your table in terms of the statistics that you have? Are you receiving more reports of fraud online, and what's the new trend it's taking? Well, and even before we have Superintendent Alexander Obin, I'm sure that Adib has also been watching all of these new trends as well. But we have a report for you, a very short one, capturing all that's been going on, and then we'll have Adib's take on this.
Economic and Organized Crime Office warns of emergence of online scammers taking undue advantage of unsuspecting public in the guise of doing business with them. According to COP Mamitiwa Adudankwa, Iyoko has in recent times observed a rise in cybercrime and has been working with telecom companies to identify and crack down on those behind the practice. She says putting an end to the practice will require collaboration between National Investigations Bureau, police, Iyoko and other security agencies.
If we don't stop it now, it will get to a point where people would have lost money, and you understand what it means to us. People are crying, some of them are committing suicide because they had invested so much and they have lost their money. And now it becomes an issue not only for the police, and sometimes it is for the government too. Because when they enter and things don't go well, they come back to the government and they say government should pay the money. So we shouldn't allow it to happen at all. That is why we should work hard. Any information that we get, we shouldn't take it for granted. We should work on them. And together, Yoko here, BNI here, National Security here, police here, everybody on the ground.
COP Mamiti Wadankwa is on a working visit to the Ashanti region. She has been meeting heads of NIB, police and the Attorney General's department in the region. The meeting, which seeks to foster collaboration between the agencies, is to promote law and order. Iyoko says it is working to clamp down on online scams, but has cautioned the public against the re-emergence of Ponzi schemes.
People set up investment online and then they tell you to bring money and that you earn so much interest. At the end of the day, when they've been able to get some people to collect their money, they shut down the platform and then you can't find them again. So we check and we realize that these organizations are not registered by BOG, they are not registered by Security and Exchange Commission, and even not by the Registrar General. So it's just some people who have devised those means to take money from people, and majority of people are vulnerable. They hear high interest rates and then they go for it. So we advise the general public to not to fall victim to that. If you want to invest in any organization, you need to do a little bit of background check. What is this organization? Is that organization registered, licensed by the regulators, Bank of Ghana, Security and Exchange Commission? And that is when you invest. We are also trying to look, and we can't even find them. They are just online. You know, the cyberspace is like that. It comes with its own anonymity. You can't find the people. They are not registered. So, but we are still working around the corner, working with the telcos, because they are using mobile devices and then telephone numbers. So we are working with them to find out who are those behind those online scammers. And at the end of the day, the law will have to take its own course.
Security agencies and the AG's office in the Ashanti region have pledged their support to Iyoko. First is the Ashanti Regional Police Commander, DCOP Afobwati Yadom.
We are going to offer her the necessary support for her to be successful.
Definitely, when you bring the work, we will work. It's going to be on a daily basis. Immediately you bring it, it's not as if it's going to lie down for this time in a week. Doctors leave this office.
From Kumasi, for JoyNews, Ohiminteria reporting.
So that's the indication we're getting from the Economic and Organized Crime Office. But we also need to hear from you out there. What's your recent experience online in terms of fraud, and what do you have to share with us? Feel free to call us now, 0302-211-691. Or two, you can share your concerns with us. Adib Sani is still here, so obviously he would be able to give you some guidelines as to what you'd be able to do to contain that. But you've seen the statement from the Economic Crime Office. Do you feel that they are up to task in cracking down on this trend?
Absolutely. We need to build that institutional capacity. There needs to be commitment on the part of various stakeholders. That is why it's important that they just don't look inwardly, but they get in touch. They reach out to other stakeholders within that field, so we can see how collectively we can improve security. But there's this very common phenomenon on Facebook and other social media, sites that it's imperative our viewers know of.
Right.
The sale of items. These days, what they do is you buy the items, you pay, then it's never delivered.
Oh, really? That's a trend now. You buy items, you don't get them.
No.
So you pay for the service, and yet you won't get that in return.
The offer is too good, you become desperate. They did that to a lady who saw a furniture set, very beautiful, going for 2,000 cedis, something that cost about 15,000 cedis.
Interesting.
She paid and it never came, so she came what we could do to track the person. But the thing is, when she went to the page later, the owners of the page had actually disabled the comment section. So this is very important information our viewers should note. Never ever buy from an online shop that has disabled the comment section.
But you see, that's the era in which we are today. If you want a service, all you need to do is to run onto the internet, get one of these applications, and place your order. At times, you even make payment, and you have the products delivered to you. Are you saying that you're not encouraging online trading? Is that the point?
If you can walk to the shop, fine. However, we want convenience, okay? So if you have no option or you prefer that convenience, there are two things to watch out for. One, the comment section, to ensure that other people have bought, even though there's a possibility they could have their people commenting, all right, and whoever comments negatively might be deleted. But the next thing to do is to ensure that you will never effect any payment until you receive the item, inspect it, and ensure that it is what you paid for or you requested before you make that payment.
So what they do now, and help us understand this, so they give you a price tag which is way below how much it is that you would indeed get your product on the market.
Exactly.
And then what's next? What do they do really?
Okay, so they ask you to pay before the item is delivered to you. And sometimes, like I indicated, people get desperate, and after you pay, they block your number. You would never be able to get in touch with them again. And some of them actually open fake accounts.
Just for that purpose.
Fake accounts, just like the chain stores you know of.
But let's see if there are similar concerns about what you're raising now. Unfortunately, Dan is joining us from Cape Coast. Dan, what's your experience really? Dan, if you can hear me, I'm asking about your experience.
Yes. All right. So my experience was I bought a Nasco TV from Malcolm, and
Dan, you would have to turn down the volume on your radio, your TV set, I should say. Yes.
I bought a Nasco TV from Malcolm, and I had a warrant. A year warrant. I think after 3 years the TV spoiled, and I called Malcolm for repairs. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm with you, Dan.
Yes, I called Malcolm for repairs, and then
Dan appears to be having a challenge, but you could still reach out to us. Seidu is joining us from Cape Coast. Seidu, what's your experience? Yes, Seidu, let's hear from you.
Hello, I'm saying that I was transferring money from my bank to my wallet. Then it landed on somebody I mistakenly wallet. Yes. So I mistakenly sent it to somebody's wallet. Then when I called her and said, he didn't see any money in his wallet, and I'm having all the details with me here, so I don't know how I'm going to deal with that one.
Interesting point there. It appears that you sent.
I'm telling you. So up to now, I'm having all his pictures, his ID card, numbers, and other things are there, but the fellow is called Grace.
I can imagine how hard it is for you now, Seidu, joining us from K-Poly on that with your experience. Your experience is that you sent money, you didn't really, you sent it to a wrong person actually, and the earlier one from Dan is indicating to us that similar to what you were saying, Adib, that they give you a price of a product, you pay for it, and you seem not
you never receive it. But the second caller, I mean, sometimes it does happen. Severally, some of us have been called. Oh, I mistakenly sent you money. Can you send it back to me? So even if you mistakenly send someone money, the person would think you are one of those guys.
Yeah, it's because of the trend we are seeing now. Let's hear from Frank as well. Frank is joining us from Kpando in the Volta region. Frank, let's hear you.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Frank.
Yeah, I am mobile money user at ATM. Some people call my line, they say they send money to my account, and they told me they suspend my line, so I should go to mobile vendor for them to restore my line. Before I realized they withdraw money from the mobile vendor, 990. They told me the code is 990. I should tell the mobile vendor. So they withdraw money from the mobile vendor account, which I have compared to pay to the mobile vendor. And when I reported to NTM line, they said they will do investigation from last year, October, 10th of October up to now. That I didn't hear anything from NTM. So they are attempting again to fraud me. They call my line. They say they put money into my account. So when you reported to NTM, they say they will do investigation. They are not doing. So I want a help to how can we track down these people who are defrauding us through the line. Thank you.
Frank, we're grateful that you've been able to share your experience with us.
So let people know that those who call them that they transfer money to their account, you alert. Okay. I have two numbers. One pair, Janet Assembly. The money go to his account up to now. The line is deleted. I reported to NTM. They didn't block the line. The line is still working.
Frank, we understand your concern. I guess that's a challenge that you're facing. But let's do the last call from it's from Paul. Paul is in Takwa. Paul, what's your story as well?
I met some of these guys online. We started a business. They send me pictures of the items I am requesting for. Then later on, they demanded for part payment. I've made part payment, and the items were never brought.
How much did they give you a price that was below what you would normally get on the market?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So they gave me 1,001. So I've sent the part of the money, but the items were never brought. So I kept on calling, and then they also kept on refusing to take my calls.
Right. And I can see that you are also laughing about the situation and how these guys really go about their activities. But just stay with us on the JoyNews channel. Adib Sani has some tips for you, what you need to be on the lookout for, what you need to actually do to address that. Yes, Adib.
So
you've heard all our callers.
I'm going to the CID headquarters for your information.
Oh,
yeah, wonderful. Someone was duped to a tune of 230,000 Ghana cedis. And
that's a lot.
That's a lot of money. So you would need help from the CID. So after this show,
what would you really advise? What's the tip?
Okay, the first thing is to report to the police because these guys are serial scammers. Okay, they might be doing it to several other people. So it's important that the police knows. But I think it is also imperative that whatever you do, you think about it. Does it sound right before going ahead to do it? For example, paying before the item is brought to you. I think we must refrain from doing that. Sometimes these guys...
Okay, so you ensure, what you need to do is to ensure that before you pay for any item at all that you are ordering online, make sure that you go ahead, ensure that you see the products for yourself, take it, inspect it, make sure that it's safe, and then you make the payment.
Because you might see the pack, but in the pack is not a phone.
That's an interesting one too. You could open up and be surprised about it.
Exactly. Sometimes when it comes to you are happy, then you pay the rider and off he goes.
Yeah.
And sometimes they also call, make it look like you've met them before. Oh, don't you remember me? Okay, I now work for a water company and we need some chemicals.
Right.
So I'm going to connect you with the white man. You would call him.
That's how the story normally starts. We'll continue this. Just hold on for us. Superintendent Alexander Albin is joining us via phone. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. So we understand that crime, fraud is taking a new form now. What's the reports that you're receiving on your desk at the Ghana Police Service, and what would you advise the public to do? Hello, Superintendent.
No, hello.
Yes, I was just asking about the new forms crime is actually taking and fraud is taking as well.
I'm not the one.
Well, it looks like there's a mix-up there. A caller also sharing his experience with us. We're still working the lines to have Superintendent Alexander Albin join us. But here we are. And, well, it's unfortunate that he will not be able to share his experience. But just as you are indicating to us, the first thing you need to do is to go to the Ghana Police Service.
Exactly.
And then lodge your complaint.
Complaints. But
the concern is the police service in itself is not equipped enough to deal with these cases when you take them there. You go to the Ghana Police Service, for instance, and you file a complaint, and some of the officers really don't even care about the situation.
It's true. A lot of people have complained. As a matter of fact, I even know a gentleman who was robbed and never reported to the police. In security studies, we have what we call the broken glass theory. As minor as an offense it is for a glass to be broken, if it is not looked into, next time it could be murder. So I think it's also imperative on the part of the police to attach seriousness to these cases brought before them as part of the confidence building measure that has been implemented by the new IGP. I think gradually, I mean, we are not there yet, but gradually we're getting there. A lot more Ghanaians are beginning to have confidence in the police service.
Okay, we need to be wrapping up on this conversation, but Dan will be giving the very final opportunity to also share his story. I think Dan was having a challenge earlier when he called. Dan, let's hear you out. Okay, some terrible line there. But Adib, let's get your final word to the listeners on this matter.
Okay, I think we need to exercise a great deal of circumspection on social media. Let us not click everything we see online. Sometimes they send us the link. They are phishing sites. So when you tap on it, they are able to collect your data. And if you discuss shoes with me, the next time you go on social media, you see
shoes all over the place.
And that is how they get you becoming interested. So I think it's always important that we think before we act.
Okay, so let's deal with the Ghana Police Service. Let's see what they also have to tell us. Superintendent Alexander Obeng is joining us. He will provide us with some public education on this. Good afternoon to you, sir. We understand that fraud is obviously taking a new form now, particularly on social media where a lot of people are having challenges. What's your report? What's the report you're getting, indications you're getting on your desk at the Ghana Police Service?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think where we are, all of us should be part of this general sensitization of the general public, because the ICT revolution is everywhere because of this telephony capacity and the fact that majority of Ghanaians are gradually becoming compliant, and therefore I pray that the media will support in this direction so that the issue of the use of mobile phone, connecting it with the internet, getting data and communicating one-on-one and in groups, otherwise called social media, with these attendant challenges, is something that the Ghanaian, in certain instances, is having the problem. But majority of these are things that are also not new, because it looks as if some victims have to also have to be blamed. The fact that because you do the analysis at the end of the day, it's either they don't know the one they are communicating with, and because of the juicy promises that comes with it, without any work, people become gullible. And they are found wanting, they are cheated. Properties that they have so worked for are expropriated from them. And in the end, they report for investigation. There are instances that the forensics unit are doing their best to assist victims of these crimes.
Okay.
But as a crime, and how it is emerging and increasing, the aspect of it in terms of sensitization is why I'm here advocating that all of us should be hands on deck to ensure that and inform all our clients that the social media platform is no different from where we are in terms of meeting and having physical conversation and engagement. And therefore, it shouldn't be seen as sacrosanct and believe it, and not even knowing the other person on the other side. You don't show so much trust and share your vitals and secret and confidential information with those that you don't trust, those that you don't see them, those that you are not required by any law, except your own gullibility to share information and divulge it.
Public education is good, but the concern is also about the action the Ghana Police Service is taking up. I mean, going after these people. What measures are you really putting in place to check this? Because it's becoming
first of all, we are way straight ahead because under our structure, the investigation wing has established, like I said, forensic. And if you come to our office close to Public Affairs Directorate, the place is start busy with trained police officers and other support staff and equipment. And we are doing what we can to ensure that with the application of the modern technology equipment and human ingenuity, be able to also do post-incident analysis and also prevent in certain instances. And there are so many instances that apprehension have been made and cases that are being investigated, some have been put before court, among others. And so, for us, we are positioned as well as doing our best. But, like I said, it has also an aspect of ensuring that our clients are also informed, warned, and protected from these marauding forces who are also known all the time physical, but on the social media, lurking around.
All right then.
With juicy bait for people to become vulnerable with their properties expropriated from them.
And I'm sure that this is just the beginning of the conversation. We will definitely be in touch with the Ghana Police Service to inform the public out there. This is still the polls. Don't forget that still up ahead. We have to talk about this. The figures are surging in the Ashanti region. We're talking about divorce right after this. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on the JoyNews channel, and this is the pulse. We need to tell you about this. The 2021 Population and Housing Census has revealed more than 550,000 Ghanaians who hitherto were married and now divorced. A breakdown of the figures indicates that over 20% of these divorced persons are resident in the Ashanti region. That's where all of this is on the rise, but it's also happening across the country, and you can see that on your screens right now as we give you the breakdown of the marital status. Also, if you move ahead, you would obviously see the indication that the Population and Housing Census is giving us in terms of the figures. First of all, they talk about the civil status, marital status that you have. They're indicating that there is the informal union as well as the married persons who are married under the ordinance as well. These are the two categories of people that the housing census covered. And when they talk about persons who are separated, apparently the census is simply referring to a person who no longer has common living arrangement with the spouse, but whose marriage has not been declared customarily or legally dissolved. Then we have the divorced. Actually, this is where our focus is. A person whose marriage has been annulled or dissolved either in court of law or by custom and has not remarried, and that's what we're focusing on. So look at the difference now. Divorce appears to be shooting up as compared to separation. So separation, 405,090, that's the figure. But what you have on your screens now is also what we are on the lookout for, the divorce rate. We have that 553,065. So that's the marital status in the picture across the country. So staggering figures there in terms of divorce, but separation lagging behind with a difference of some 100,000. But here you have it. In terms of the gender mix, if you look at it very, very closely, in terms of the gender mix, we have the female having been 362,233 being affected, and then the male population is 190,832. Obviously, the female are dominating in this marital status mix. There is more dynamics to this. In fact, we need to give you also a regional breakdown of the figures, just to tell you how the figures are looking like across the various regions here in Ghana. So you can see there for yourself, Ashanti region topping with 114,061 cases of divorce. You have other regions such as the Greater Accra region here following through with 80,741. You have Central region with 71,577. Well, actually it's Eastern before the Central region, because the Eastern has 76,114, and then the others actually follow. But you can see the least number there being the Ahafo area, which is recording 11,273. So that's how the picture is looking like. The Ashanti region is that place to be on the lookout for, but that's not the only place we're experiencing issues of divorce. So what's accounting for this, and why are we experiencing this trend? Fortunately, we've been joined via Zoom by Frank Edem Adufoli, who is a marriage consultant, also deals with issues of relationship as well. Fortunately, he's an ADR practitioner, so he'll be able to give us more insight into this. Welcome to the show, sir. You see the figures there, staggering 55,000. We're way above 55,000. What's accounting really for the rate of divorce across the country?
All right, thank you. My greeting to your viewers and the listeners. Our preparation towards marriage has been a bad one. When we go into marriage, many of the marriages is about our needs. What I'm looking for as a man and what I'm looking for as a woman. It's not been about a friendship. So our understanding towards marriage has been a poor one, and this is not helping at all. And when issues comes up in marriage, we don't have the requisite skills and tools to resolve them. The tools and the skills to resolve these issues are very necessary. And sometimes we are overwhelmed by that, and that also causes a lot of trouble, leading to the divorce as well.
If we could just bring back the numbers and perhaps you could have the regional breakdown on your screens now. The indication we're getting is that the Ashanti region is topping that list in terms of the breakdown. We'll just put that on the screens for you shortly for you to see the regional breakdown. Ashanti region appears to be on top. What's accounting for this? Because really what you're expecting is that the Greater Accra region, which seems to be more urbanized than the other areas, will be experiencing that. So what could possibly be the factors accounting for that?
It's about our understanding. As I was saying, the man is looking for somebody who will take care of the home, basically. So I've gotten a wife. I provide for the wife is at home, is taking care of the needs, or is working. You have to make time to take care of the needs. The wife is also looking for a man who will take care of some of the needs that the man needs.
So just help our viewers out there, what to do, options to take, and what the way forward should be. It appears that we're having some challenges getting through to Frank Edem Dofole, who's obviously an ADR practitioner and also a relationship counselor. Obviously, you should be seeing the figures for yourself and understanding what's happening. Obviously, what's happening across the country, but would keep our eyes on more of the dynamics in the national population analysis census for you and bring them to you subsequently. Here on the polls, but obviously we need to draw the curtains on that conversation. Stay with us. When we return, we have sports for you.
Thank you for joining us, Andrew. I had hoped it to be under better circumstances for us to speak for the first time. But because of the current happenings, how are you doing? Should be my first question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing best as I can. I'm not currently in Ukraine, so probably slightly easier than friends and family that are over there, and probably in a more, even though I can worry from here, I feel that they're relatively calm in the situation that's unfolding. But it's very fluid. You don't know what's going to happen next. So it's just definitely one where you have to constantly look at your phone for news.
Yeah. So based on what you are hearing from family, how did it all begin for them before we get into the sporting side of things?
Yeah, so we're recording on Friday. On Thursday early morning, Russia started its mass invasion of Ukraine, sort of like rocket attacks on airports and all this kind of stuff. And then yesterday evening and during the day, they started attacking Kyiv, the capital, where a lot of my friends and family live. So far, there's been a few rocket attacks and air raids on Ukraine and the Ukrainian capital. A lot of people have been going down to the metro to shelter in sort of the underground bunkers there. And there are expected to be more assaults on the capital since then. However, the Ukrainian armed forces are doing very well so far in defending the capital and other areas of Ukraine from the Russian aggression.
Okay, so how are you in contact with the people there? Because the big story in Ghana has been that, you know, a lot of Ghanaian students are stranded, and so are telecommunication lines open, internet? How are you communicating with people?
Yeah, well, I'm just talking on the phone, like through messenger apps. So on the whole, I think that internet, well, 4G or 5G or some mobile internet is working. I think in some areas, internet is in and out, depending on the situation, where it's whether there's a missile or something that's been hit or something like that. But otherwise, that sort of connection seems to be relatively stable for the time being. Like everyone's getting updates out, like in terms of news media, all these Telegram group chats that show brand new news and things from across the country. So far, it's fine.
Okay, now looking at the various international media networks, we are seeing a lot of your country folk, you know, leaving for places like Poland on buses and stuff like that. That is the reality now for people, isn't it?
For the time being, yes. Whilst the war is carrying on and whilst it's sort of not safe to be in the majority of Ukrainian cities, then yeah, a lot of people are fleeing to the European Union. Poland has said that it's welcoming refugees, as have a number of other countries. So, yeah, I think Ukraine is very grateful for allowing that to happen.
Right. I spoke to our mutual Slovak colleague, Lukáš, who actually said Slovakia is allowing anybody to come in. You just show your Ukrainian passport, no questions asked, and you're allowed into the country as well. So that gives an idea of how welcoming some of your neighbors are. But, I mean, you are a Ukrainian football journalist, so with that background out of the way, we heard that sporting activities had been predictably suspended yesterday as well, and until further notice. How do you think this is all going to affect sports? I mean, it seems like a small bit of the bigger pie, but you know.
Oh, absolutely. It's very unpredictable to even think about how it's going to affect sport, because whether this current Ukrainian Premier League season will resume, it was on a winter break and it was meant to restart this weekend.
Yeah.
So that's even sort of the harsher thing. So that's been suspended indefinitely. I've got my doubts whether it will ever be completed. It may just be sacked off just based on the sort of military developments and all that kind of thing. As for sort of like, we've got a lot of Ukrainian players abroad that have fortunately been showing support for Ukraine. I'm sure everyone's seen Ruslan Malinovsky at Atalanta, Alexander Zinchenko at Man City. Many players are showing on social media and in real life that they are supporting their country back home. And obviously this morning as well, UEFA has moved the Champions League final to Paris from St. Petersburg. So that's a start, but I think many Ukrainians and in general are calling for Russia to be isolated from all sport internationally until they withdraw from Ukraine.
Yeah, we've heard that. I mean, we've seen Vladimir Klitschko make a strong case with his brother Vitaly as well. And you know the Klitschko brothers, they don't pull punches. They go straight to the point, like in their boxing career as well.
Yeah.
And based on that tangent, Andrew, it will be something, right? Because everybody's now looking at FIFA and wondering if they have the guts to tell Russia to pull out for the World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. I have my doubts, sadly, because of Gianni Infantino's relationship with Vladimir Putin, who during the World Cup in 2018 was, giving its praises. And it shouldn't be forgotten that Vladimir Putin had already occupied Crimea and had started a war in eastern Ukraine in 2014. So, and he still was, and Infantino was still praising Putin in 2018. So sadly, a lot of people have their doubts. However, there's also, I think UEFA might be the more key in this subject. They're saying that they're looking at their Gazprom sponsorship, which sponsors the Champions League, and potentially looking at cancelling that. If they did that, that would be a massive, massive message to Russia. But for the time being, I think a lot of people are sadly disappointed with what we're seeing. Other than that Champions League, removal, shall we say? Yeah.
What's the Ukrainian media saying about all of this and about putting their own pressure on UEFA and FIFA as well to do something more concrete than issuing these seemingly blunt statements? Because, like you said, if you follow the money and hit people where the money is, they tend to listen more. We've seen Schalke 04 remove Gazprom off their shared sponsors list, and that is a big deal. What is the Ukrainian media saying?
So the Ukrainian Association of Football has sent a letter to UEFA and FIFA calling for all Russian clubs and national teams to be banned from international and continental competitions, and they asked for the removal of the Champions League final. So that one has already been conducted, and now everyone is calling for the ban of Russian clubs and national teams. However, this morning, I think in the statement, UEFA said that Ukrainian and Russian clubs and national teams will have to play now on neutral territory their intercontinental matches. For Ukraine, they don't have any clubs left in European competition this year. However, Ukraine national team has got a World Cup playoff against Scotland away, which I don't know 100% if that will even happen. We will see, but that's at the end of March. And then Russia is meant to play Poland. And technically, I think the majority of Ukrainian media doesn't think that match should go ahead at all, because Russia should not be competing in anything. And then you've got the Paralympics starting soon, which similarly, Russia is technically not there because it's Russian Olympic Committee, who should have been banned a long time ago for systemic doping violations. But, they still keep getting away with it. So sadly, I think there's a bit of hopelessness in all of this.
I like the word you use, because it seems from the outside looking in that Russia, to put it bluntly, is untouchable.
Yeah, sadly, they've just got their fingers in many pockets across Europe, in European clubs as well. For example, here in the UK, many people are calling on Roman Abramovich to be sanctioned even harder. Apparently, he's been banned from living in the UK. But so what? He still owns one of the biggest clubs in the world. And also Alisher Usmanov owns 30% of Arsenal and has big business dealings in Everton, who we also are calling on for sanctions for them. So time will tell, but it doesn't look like Ukraine will get as much as it's hoping for out of these punishments.
Let's finish where we started, with the people who suffer the most. The ordinary folk in Ukraine, be they Ukrainian nationals or those from outside the country. We saw one of the coaches of the Ukrainian team, I think Donetsk, who is an Italian De Zerbi, saying that the Italian embassy asked him to leave Ukraine, and he said he cannot leave his players at this time. That's such a brave thing to say. And also, what happens now that the airspace is closed? All these foreign nationals who are in the Ukraine, it's going to be a difficult time for them, plus the Ukrainian players and all, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they will have to leave by road. I think that's the only possibility if they're going to, or by train, of course.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are heading west towards the European Union and those countries, and then they can either head home if they're foreign nationals from those other countries, or if you're Ukrainian. Some people are just staying in Kyiv, for example, at the moment, or in other areas of Ukraine in the west, and just holding tight because some people say, this is my home, I've got nowhere else to go, I don't want to be a refugee in Poland or elsewhere. So I think time will tell because it's a very fluid situation.
Yeah.
But Ukraine are very valiant and courageous people, and they will very much stand until the final breath.
Yeah. Is there any part of Ukraine that is being spared, or is it the entire Ukraine that is being bombarded left, right, and center?
No, I think in the West there are areas that haven't been hit or anything like that yet,
yeah.
But there is obviously the constant risk because Russia are targeting key locations. Like, for example, in Lviv in the West, there's been lots of air raid sirens, and that's about less than 50 kilometers from the Polish border. So that's the kind of things that Ukrainians will have to deal with for the time being. And people in Lviv, for example, they've been dealing with air raid sirens and that kind of thing. So it's potential that no corner of Ukraine will be spared in the long run. But for the time being, it's just, I think, the bigger cities that have got some sort of crucial infrastructure that Putin is trying to target.
Great. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And at this difficult time, all we can say is sending you love and light and thoughts and prayers to you and your family. I know you are in the UK, but, hopefully, fingers crossed, this ends shortly and then we can all live in peace.
And you're welcome back to the polls. Now, all pubs and restaurants actually at Osu will be shut down tonight. This is part of a 3-day ban on noise-making to allow for the burial and final funeral rites of the late paramount chief of the area, Ni Okwe Kinkadona the 6th. Now, Osu, in Osu, we know that which is largely referred to as the heart of Accra. Accra's nightlife is home to several popular pubs and also restaurants which operate deep into the night, but they have to suspend operations for at least the duration of the ban. Manuel Kranting has more in the following report.
Traditional chants at the parlor of the Osumanchewe, the seat of the Osu stew. It is nearing the peak of the burial and final funeral rites of the late paramount chief of the town, Ni Okwe Kinkadona the 6th, who passed away months ago. As is the case with funeral ceremonies of many high-ranking chiefs, the Osu Traditional Council has banned all forms of noise-making for 3 days as the rites are held. Ni Adote McLean speaks for the Osu stew.
Operating would be disrespecting your father who is gone. And that is why I am saying that those pubs that will be playing music and be having fun, I mean, like you said, it has come to your notice because you've heard it in town that is what is happening. So they should give us that due respect. We would like to have a total peace and a total silence in the community as we send our father, as we send our king, His Royal Majesty DF Ni Okwe Kinkadona the 6th, to his final rest. Today is Friday. What we are telling them is that they should respect us so that we respect them as well. Some will be seized, some will be cautioned and asked to see the custodians of the land in relation to what they had to do to pacify the land.
when Chris Atta was having like the video show at Kona Cafe, many people from other places came to meet him because they have never seen him before and all those stuff.
It's vibrant. There's people everywhere. There's something for everybody.
Osu is home to many popular nightclubs, bars and restaurants which come alive at night. This ban will hugely affect their operations. Worse, many of the vendors say they were not aware of the directive.
No. We don't know. We don't know anything about it. Pepper Puff has a big name. Yeah, it's really going to affect us because the whole of last week we went for some break. So we are now coming back to recruit from this Friday so that Kingdom come. But if they are saying we shouldn't play music and we shouldn't do those noisy destiny, music calls people to come to your places, you understand? As you can see here, we sell food, drinks and those stuff. Everything is here. And people normally used to come here from Eastern region, Western and those stuffs. So if they are saying we shouldn't play music, then today, tomorrow, I don't think it will help us. As now, we already bring the meat. So when the time cut to people to come, when they come, fine. When they don't come, we pack the meat down and the next day that they sell it. It will affect me, but how? Like we know, we can't bring any meat.
The ban, which may manifest in the total closure of these spots, is not very good news. Not only for the vendors, but also drivers of ride-hailing vehicles. Here's one of them.
Yeah, I don't stay here. I bring people all the way from so many places to Osu, and I still come here to pick people from Osu back to their destinations or their various homes. So if you are saying that they shouldn't come to work, that means one way or the other it's going to affect my work. That means if somebody is supposed to come to Osu today to work, for me also to work and get money, that means that person's money has been fall short, and his or her money being fall short has affected my too.
This is the Dankwa Circle, the intersection that welcomes people into the nightlife of Osu. It's afternoon and all the pillars around the circle are decorated with red and black bands indicating the mood in the town. It waits to be seen whether for the first time in a very long time, Osu will be asleep at night. For JoyNews, my name is Manuel Kranting.
Now, the Ghana Blind Union has petitioned government through the Education Ministry that the visually impaired students should be included in various education reforms in the country. They argue if visually impaired students are equipped with the necessary digital devices, the country's quest to enhance its educational development will be more holistic and inclusive. Executive Director of the union, Dr. Peter Obeng Siama, presented the petition at the launch of the Accessible Blind Book campaign in Accra on Thursday. Mausi Nunu has more in the following report.
Goal 4 of the Sustainable Development Goals aspires to provide all people with access to education and encourage lifelong learning opportunities in the quest to eliminate educational gaps. But Ghana is yet to achieve this, especially for persons with disability. In this regard, the Ghana Blind Union is requesting for all visually impaired students in the country to be given equal learning opportunities.
And all learners with disability, I'm presenting this petition and we are calling upon the ministry to listen to it and pay rapt attention, give rapt attention to it. And please, please, please act on it. The Ghana Blind Union wishes to ask the Minister of Education to use your good offices to ensure the provision of audio devices to learners with vision impairment. These audio devices include those that we've just seen demonstrated. We've seen the Victor Reader or Victor Stream. We've seen the use of the tablets. We've seen the use of laptops with screen reader devices. We've seen the use of electronic braille. And there are other forms of assistive technologies. We are calling upon the Ministry of Education to ensure that these devices are provided to our learners in the school so that they would be able to access the reading materials that their sighted counterparts have and take for granted. We are talking about equal opportunities here. We are talking about leveling the playing field. We are talking about allowing blind and visually impaired learners to contribute to their own development and the development of this nation.
Deputy Education Minister John Intim-Fojo, in his response to the petition, assured the union that the ministry would explore opportunities in ensuring that their request is granted.
So I would want to start by saying that we'll receive, on behalf of the ministry and on behalf of Dr. Yao Seduchum, your petition, a very solid petition in good faith, and by kind courtesy of Ramatu Salifu and my two brothers, I've had the opportunity to hear the petition 3 times. and so for emphasis purposes, I am very versed with the content of the petition, and I do associate with every paragraph and every word contained in the petition. I will convey same to the Honorable Minister, and I know that he can't wait to address the matters you have raised, and I can assure you, and most honestly and sincerely convey this assurance to you, that this petition will receive the attention that it deserves. As a ministry, as a government, we are very poised to ensure that adequate investment is channeled into these softwares, into these devices, and to ensure that we scale up the opportunity. We'll definitely also explore partnerships with development partners who are very interested in our inclusive education policy, to also seek their support.
A visually impaired student, Gift Nkrumah, shared some of the difficulties she's been facing as a student. According to her, she sometimes has to lend out money to her mates to be able to get them to read notes for her.
I'm at the mainstream with our sighted colleagues, and because we don't have access to the print textbooks, we have to beg them to read notes for us. Or when it's time for exercise, they have to read it for us before we write it in Braille. Sometimes, because we cannot read the print, if we call our sighted friends to read for us, they will not mind us until we pay them, or we buy something for them before they come and read the notes for us.
A member of the Ghana Blind Union, Regina Ezilivu, also urged examination bodies, particularly WAEC, to explore technological means to conduct examination for the visually impaired.
As a blind person, I think that there are alternative means of writing. Some need large font size so that they can read and then write in large font. So that should be allowed. And then those who can, some also can use the computers to write the exam. So those who are computer literate should be allowed to use the computer to write. And then we have some people who cannot use the braille nor the computer. They have problems with their fingers as well. So such persons should be given the alternative of recording their answers, so that after they record their answers, the audio would then be transcribed into text by experts, so that WAEC can mark and then they get the exams.
Gifty, like other visually impaired students, believe if she is properly assisted with the needed devices, she can make better strides. Mao Sidnumons reports for JoyNews.
And here in the studios, that's how we wrap up today's edition of The Pulse here on the JoyNews channel. My name is Blessed Sugan. Don't forget to always be on the lookout for our updates on our social media handles, JoyNews on TV, and also myjoyonline.com is your hub for all of the latest stories as well. Next is Business Live.